Hey everybody, Mr. M here. I just want to do a little check-in and kind of go over a few things we did during the school week. Um, Tons of opportunities over the weekend to just slide a few things in. So I just hope that this is helpful just to even put it in your mind on some things to look at, and I can show you a few things just even online to to be able to use. And online is so powerful now that I'm not showing anything special. It's literally just kind of typing in the exact thing that you're looking for, but there's just so many tools and videos to reinforce the idea. Just because there is videos and everything to bring up doesn't mean that um, the student or your child has an understanding of it, but they're just really powerful tools. I'll start, I guess. I just have a little list here. I wish I could make it a bit more professional, but it is very time consuming to edit it, and I promise I will do that kind of stuff, but I'm going to wait to do that with your kids, and that's where I'll put those kind of neat little tricks and stuff for making videos. But for right now, I'm just going to kind of do it casually, and I hope that's okay. So I have here just a little list of some things that we went over this week. First, talking about literacy. One thing that we did look at was compound words. Okay, we looked at that in our right traits, and the idea behind that is taking two words, two nouns usually, and putting them together to make one new word, and we're kind of trying to recognize that in our reading. So an example, some examples today in our story, we had the word sunrise, and I'm sure your son or daughter can say that they remember this from the story. So the idea there is that is the word sun plus the word rise coming together. So it's two separate words, sun being a word and rise being a word, coming together to make the word sunrise for a compound word. So we are working on that this week, recognizing them in our reading. Another one was the word workbench. That was in our story today, and again, two separate words, work and bench, and we're working on those, recognizing those, and it's just a convention that we're focusing on in our writing. So again, just even asking son and daughter, hey, what can you tell me about compound words? Just reinforcing that and bringing it back up in their mind. But again, going on to anything, if you're searching Google, be very specific. If you look compound words, and if I just search it now, a bunch of different things will come up, but be specific. What is it for? It's for grade 2 or grade 1 in this case, and I'm also looking for a video. Just very specific. What am I looking for to help right now so we can maybe watch it together? If you don't want a video, you can put list, and a list will come up, or stories with a minute. But if I just press this now, I'll get a few options. There we go. Different things. Here's a song right here. This is Jack Hartman. Jack Hartman's channel has awesome songs. I've taught kindergarten before, grade 1, grade 2, and it's around that area, different songs focusing on these things. So any of these, look, it's 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Might take 10 minutes this weekend to go through. It just reinforces that learning. They come back often excited, wanting to share those kind of things. So that's one thing, is compound words. When we're looking at our spelling, in the last video, I told you about the Dolch sight words list, and it goes all the way from kindergarten up. Start at the first one, and it's actually called pre-primer words, and this is the very, very starting, and you can get the list. You can really get every kind of tool that you need to look at. There'll be videos, there'll be songs with it, but just something like this, Dolch sight words pre-primer. It's just taking its time here. If it's loading, maybe I can just make it bigger there. Okay, and you can see it's right here. The word and, away, big, blue, can. Oh. So this is where you'd start, and it's kind of, once these are mastered, you move on to the next list. It goes pre-primer, primer, kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2. I forget if there's a grade 3 list, but these are excellent because these make up the majority of words that we will ever read. So if with a focus on these, and I tried to say today, just make a small goal. On the weekend, maybe say, I want to be able to read and spell and, away, and big, and that's it. So if you're taking a car ride, say, hey, spell and for me. spell away for me, and just these little techniques, it just reinforces it. And I promise you, when these things happen at home, students come back in excited and they really want to share with me, and I kind of help them celebrate that. It just really helps when we team up working on these things. You think of it when you double down on anything, when you have two people working on anything, it just it's much more effective. So it just really helps. So that's this right here. Dolch, the word is dolch. You type in dolch and something will come up that will be a helpful tool. Start at the first list and move on after they have it. We're doing these at school too. Another reason why it's really awesome to practice spelling words at home is because then at school we can get really into the creative stuff. Okay, so not worried so much about spelling, because it kind of sometimes it brings kids down. I can't spell very well, so I'm not a good writer. But writing comes from the ideas and the organization and the creativity, and that's the fun part about writing. So as much as we do focus on spelling, and yes, it's important, there's just so many tools to use now to use them. So if they feel comfortable with these, we can get into all the creative stuff and have that be a focus at school. The other thing that we're looking at in spelling, again, and this is part of our math, but it's just math literacy, is right now spelling numbers 1 to 20. And I also said, it's in the agenda actually, help me to spell three numbers. So anything from 1 to 20, maybe start with 1, 2, and 3, and once your child has those, move on to the next one. These little goals really help. Okay, yes, I just have the word whiteboard markers. These guys right here, whiteboard markers. I had a big bin of them. They were from last year. I had a couple packs. They usually only come in about 4 packs of 4. We use our whiteboards all the time. Just so you can see behind me, the whiteboards. It's just the dry erase markers that you can wipe off. They can even be used on the desks here, and then I just wipe them off after. But they're just, it saves paper. It's really quick and easy. We don't have to make as many photocopies in, and we can just practice even while I'm talking something. Your son or daughter can take it out and kind of practice that. The problem is that they just, after about a month, they might run out. It's just be an awesome thing. If you are out or making a trip to the dollar store, grabbing a few things, this would really help us out here. I won't be asking for very much, but whiteboard markers, if you can kind of arm them with a little pack or 1 or 2 or a package of those, it'd be awesome. They have an eraser that I gave them, and that's not a big deal because you can use a little towel. Okay, getting on to math. 2 things that we looked at this week were, it's all about recognizing whole numbers, recognizing numbers in our day-to-day life, recognizing that numbers are not just something we do with math. They're on our clocks, they're on our price tags, they're written. So just talking about numbers that you see, addresses, how do we use numbers in a society, that's part of it. And something that we looked at this week is composing and decomposing numbers. So being able to see a number like 15 and being able to take it apart. So 15 is actually a group of 10 and a group of 5. So you can take the number apart. I want to show you this here. Just by typing in digital manipulatives. Manipulatives are just all the things and tools that we use to teach and show math. First thing comes up, virtual manipulatives for math. It's free. It's what we're using in the class right now, but it's a great way to decompose and compose numbers, to take numbers apart and put them back together to show that actually each individual number has a value. So I'll just show you right now. Well, you can see tons of cool tools, the snap cubes for counting and adding. But we use these here called the base 10 blocks. Okay, and click on that there. And this really helps for composing and decomposing a number. Sorry that it's taking so long. It's because it's recording at the same time. I can see I'm getting a little lengthy there, getting on 10 minutes, so I'll try to wrap this up too. But I just want to show this because, again, I really believe in reinforcing at home really just makes a world of difference. Okay, so for example, if you had the number 15, we could take 15 of these ones, or we could make 1 10 and 5 1s, and that's showing that the number is can be taken apart or decomposed into a 10 and a 5, makes the number 15. And the reason why it's good to understand values like with ones, tens, and hundreds is because if you think of the number 15, what's really tricky, let me bring word back up. What's tricky for little guys sometimes, you have the number 15 here, is that if you ask about this number, you say, what number is that? And they say, well, 5, and they'd be correct. And then you go here and you say, well, what number is this? And they say, well, it's 1. And you have to say, no, that is actually not. And the reason that it's not is because of the value. Because the 1, when it's in the tens column, it goes from right to left of ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. When it moves over to, here's the ones column, to the tens column, a 1 in the 10 column actually represents one group of 10. So that one actually represents 10. It's kind of tricky, but when we start taking it apart and decomposing, so 15 is actually a group of 10 and a group of 5, it starts to kind of help concept, or at least I hope it does. But this is a good way here to see if your son or daughter is understanding that each number has a value and they can be taken apart. So again, you have hundreds here. If I wanted to make 115, that's one group of 100, a 10, and a 5 taken apart. So again, that's what it's called, this didax.com, but all I did was type in digital manipulatives, and you can take a look at that. Okay, we did some estimating today too. Estimating, so kind of making a guess at a larger number instead of counting individually. And the way that we did that was by talking about the concept of ish. Ish, when you say something is, some words that came up today from these guys were cold-ish or hot-ish. It's where it's not really cold, not really hot, but you kind of have like an idea, like a kind of. So when you're looking at a big number, let's say like a jar of gumballs, and you want them to give an ish number. So if you're looking at again like a jar of candy or something, say, how do you think would be in there? We don't want to count the whole thing one by one, but what's your ish guess? Oh, there might be 10-ish, 15-ish, and a lot of the guys really kind of understood that today. So that the concept of estimating, and they'll be familiar with ish. So what's your ish guess? How many people do you think are over there? Oh, 10-ish, 15-ish, and then you can kind of get an idea if they're getting that idea of seeing a group of numbers together. So it's just the early stages of estimating. And then last, for social studies, we're kind of mixing grade 1 and grade 2, and what we're looking at is first families, and there's all different types of families all over the world, and it doesn't have to be just one type of stereotypical family, and families come in all different ways. So a conversation about that could be helpful right now. And roles and responsibility. What are your roles and responsibilities here at school? What are your jobs? How should you be as a young student? How should you help out? And again, at home, what are your roles? What are your responsibilities? Social studies are all about how we are together as people. Okay, so just that's another conversation about, you can even ask, so what do you think your roles and responsibility are at home this weekend? What do you think you should do to make our house a better place? How can you help? Who can you help? And what is your job there? So just some little pointers. Sorry this video was so long. I hope it helps. Have an awesome weekend. Okay, Mr. McMullen signing out. Remember to remind those little guys, be kind or never mind. And I'll see you Monday. All right.